what we're going to talk about, a quick breakdown, is the strategies and practices to work with your job coach effectively. Some of you have been working closely already with your job coach. In that case, maybe, maybe you would like to share something that has helped you. But for people who are newer to the program and just establishing this relationship with the coach, I want to talk to you a bit about, what that will look like and how to make that benefit you. Secondly, using our employer partner network to flag job opportunities or job applications. We have a network of companies that we have a relationship with. So I'm going to explain a bit of what that is and how you can uh, make applications, that will be able to get flagged through those connections that we have. And then thirdly, using your access to the learning platform that we have in order to boost your skills and just sort of the logistics around that. So forgive me if this is repetitive for anyone, but if you're more experienced in the program, I would love to also hear your input because maybe you have ideas that are helpful for others as well. So first off, strategies and practices to work with your job coach. I think some of these are obvious, like attending the meetings that you have with your coach in a prepared way. So what I find is to even treat it like something like an interview. Of course, it's more relaxed, and this is a person who is supporting you, but treat it at that level of importance. Think about what is the topic you would like to discuss with them. Do you have specific questions around that topic? Sometimes when I coach, I set the topic already, so you already know, and you have uh, given it some thought. For instance, maybe we're going to talk about interview skills, right? Or do a mock interview, and in that case, you would come, prepared to answer certain questions. But in general, right, just being prepared and giving your coach also some level of engagement through questions is really helpful. Also, the clear communication with your coach in terms of letting them know ahead of time if you need to cancel or reschedule, of course. And in general, right, practicing a very high level of professionalism because this is also job preparation, right? If you can write a really clear and grammatically accurate email in English to your job coach about rescheduling a call, guess what? That's going to make you more able to do that in the workplace. So I think it's a good idea to think of every interaction with the coach as practice for the workplace. Many of you have incredible, career experience, but maybe you need to practice that email in Polish or English. Maybe that's an opportunity to, right, to sort of grow your skills in that sense. Even when you're having a meeting, right? Do you have an agenda? Treat it as if, right, this is like some sort of business meeting. You want to just present yourself in that way so that in the real situation, in the interview, for instance, it comes more naturally. Um, what you're already doing, since all of you are here with me today, attend relevant Upwardly Global online webinars to increase your skills. So, you will get invitations to our weekly webinars, to our Business English Conversation Club. The coaches are also starting now to invite everyone to individual sessions that they have on different topics. So, if you definitely check your email and the Telegram and LinkedIn, regularly, or you don't have to check all of them, but be sure to check at least one of those regularly so that you don't miss out on the different webinars that we have offering to you. And I think also the biggest thing, and this can be hard, I know, is to ask for support and feedback, right? To ask, right, for help when you feel stuck. Because sometimes the job search, maybe there's nothing specific, right? Maybe you're just having a week where it's really hard, it's really tough. You got rejection and you're feeling really demotivated to continue. That is exactly the situation where we as a program and your coach is there to talk to you, to, re-motivate and re-energize you and maybe give you another different perspective that you need in that moment. So it doesn't always have to be that you're scheduling a meeting for a specific thing. Maybe you would like to schedule, for instance, I had a job seeker who scheduled a meeting and we just talked about rejection, or we just talked about managing stress during the interview. So think about honestly what you're struggling with, and don't feel hesitant to reach out to your coach to get support on that. And of course, the practical aspects, the support areas that we obviously also want to be there for, just to remind you, is any applications that you're working on. If you would like, for instance, for your coach to look over your CV before you send it to a job that you're really excited about. Because ideally, you should be updating the CV in order to suit that position each time you apply to a new position. What that's called, right, is customizing. So customizing with keywords that are relevant for that position. And sometimes when we do an edit of something, right, it's helpful to have a second eye on it. It's helpful for someone to look at it and say, yes, this looks like a strong CV for this job. So in that case, what you would need to send the coach would just be the CV that is customized, the link to the open position so they can read through the description. And ideally, right, what kind of feedback are you looking for? Is there a certain section of your CV that you're not sure? Maybe there's a skill section, or maybe there's one position and you're like, I'm not sure if this is relevant. So be as specific as you can with what you want them to give you feedback on, because that's really going to make their job easier. Our coaches work with a lot of people every day, and so the more clear it is what you need, the easier it is for them to give you that support that is useful. Yeah, so definitely don't hesitate to send those job application supports. In addition, if anyone here on this call has not yet had a mock interview practice with their coach, I also really recommend at least doing it once in your program time. So one session with your coach, one-on-one, where you are practicing a fictional interview. It's better if you come into that situation with a job description. So when I set up a mock interview session, I tell the job seeker, please, before the call, choose a job application, a job description, right, that you found online, for instance, that is similar or really close to what you would like to apply to, even if you're not applying, so that we can use it to structure our practice. Because it's much more helpful to have targeted practice than general practice. If I can ask you, for instance, if you're a graphic designer, I'm going to ask you specific questions related to graphic design, or I'm going to ask you specific questions related to whatever job description you send me, um, so that we can really focus in on your strengths in that area. Also, strategy. Job searching is its own job, right? So that's kind of the message that I would like all of you to remember. Maybe just, for this call, if you remember anything, remember that job searching is its own skill. Job searching is its own job. And so you need, like for everything, a strategy. And sometimes we need to adjust the strategy. Maybe you have been doing something one way for 3 months, and it's not giving you really the results that you want. So in that moment, it's good to set up a meeting with your coach, explain, this is what I've been doing. How can I adjust? Or is there something else, right, that I'm missing? Because it is helpful also to have another person who is outside of you looking at the situation from maybe a little bit more distance. Because when you're in it every day, you're sending your applications, you're under a certain amount of pressure or stress, usually it's harder sometimes to see the strategy adjustment that might be helpful. Um, for instance, right, some people will say, okay, I'm going to just take time to learn right now. I'm not going to focus so much on the applications. That's one kind of strategy. Or some people will say, I have not been seeing, right, positions that are really aligned with my skills. So in that case, the strategy would maybe include finding different job titles that are more aligned. So it can differ, depending on your situation and your needs. Also, feedback on areas that you personally could use development in. In the best case, and I hope this is true for everyone on this call, you have a good, trusting relationship with your coach. You feel comfortable with them. You feel like you share with them and they know you to a certain degree. Right? Because hopefully you will have already had some calls with them. Maybe you're exchanging emails back and forth on a regular basis, but in a certain right level, they know you and understand your background and understand your challenges. So my point here is that asking them frankly, what do you see I could use development in? Just like in a job where your boss would give you feedback during an assessment. It can be uncomfortable, yes, but I think it overall is super helpful because, right, maybe, for example, in the mock interviews, right, maybe there's something they can tell you that, oh, like if you could just be a little bit more forthcoming in your answers, right? You tend to be typically a more shy person. That's not the issue, but the issue is how do you present yourself in the interview? So, things like that where you can open up a dialogue to understand yourself in the job search and how you can be even better. And also, sorry to go back, but I think also areas that you're doing well in, not just the areas that, are lacking. I think the positive feedback is also really, really important. And to ask them, hey, like, is there an area that I could work on, but also are there things that you see that I'm doing really well? Because that's a really important thing to give yourself credit in the areas that you are strong in. Okay, so the employer partner network, if anyone doesn't already know what that is, it is a network of companies that when you apply to the list of these companies or to any of these companies individually, we can flag the application, which just means that we contact someone and say, hey, this is a participant of our program. For example, right, this is Olha, and here's her CV, and here's the position she applied for. Please consider her application. This can happen in two different ways. First, that you apply and you tell your coach or me that you have applied and we flag it. Secondly, though, as particularly, I'm not aware for any other ones, but if you were to apply for Oliver Wyman specifically, you would have to tell us before you apply. So imagine you're on LinkedIn, you see an open position with Oliver Wyman that's a good fit. Before you do your application, please tell us the position that you're interested in, and we will send the CV directly. But in all other cases, mainly, uh, it's the other way around. You apply and then you let us. Um, I would also recommend to follow up with your job coach about the status of your application with any of these employer partners. Because as I mentioned, they handle a lot of different job seekers. They're not always on top of, giving everyone feedback. So don't wait. Be really proactive and asking for the follow up and the feedback. We don't always get it from the employer, unfortunately. I wish we did, but sometimes we do. Sometimes they let us know the reason why we didn't go forward with this applicant, for instance, was that they need a higher level English, higher English level. So that's just one example. But I think practicing being proactive is always a good thing. And this goes the same for any applications you send. Always follow up 2 weeks later with the employer, because sometimes things get lost. Sometimes someone is out sick. Sometimes, right? It's not that they rejected your application. It's that something, someone dropped the ball. And so it's your job to pick the ball up and push it forward as much as you can. And 2 follow-ups, and then that's usually when you can let it go. But I would always, every application you do, definitely follow up. This is just the list of our employment partners. So you can see we have an array, I would say in general, right? It's concentrated in finance, in consulting, in banking, some tech software, but they're all multinational companies. And we have, for many of them, people in our program who have already landed jobs with them. So that's another thing I would encourage. If you do an application, and you would like a flag for a position with any of these companies, you also have the opportunity for us to connect you with the job seeker who has already landed a job. Because I think what we call informational interviews, where you have a conversation asking, what is it like to work there? What is the company culture? What was the application process like? Those are really good things for you to know. And a lot of our alum, they're very open because they were just like you, right? 2 months ago or 6 months ago, they were in your exact position looking for a job. And many of them are really happy to connect and share, at least over email, if not a call, share their experience. So just so you know, that's something you can reach out to me about, or your coach about, and say, I did an application, or I'm in a process with this company. Please connect me with an alum who is currently working there. So, on this list, we see Accenture, Oliver Wyman. We have, I think, 3 people at Oliver Wyman. Visa, I know at least one person there. And yeah, let us know. Let us know if you submit applications to any of these companies. And this list is available. I will include it in the follow-up email, but you should already have access to it. If not, you will have it now. We also have a LinkedIn guide, and it just is basically a document that has the links of each of these companies, the LinkedIn link, right? So if you were to go to your LinkedIn, right, I would highly recommend, for the ones that you're interested in, to follow them on LinkedIn, because that will also keep you updated on what are things happening in the company, what are the newest positions opening, and it's a good way to stay up to date. So that's the link to the guide. Just give you a quick look at that. Okay, so I'm also giving a quick instructional in this guide of how to follow the companies if you didn't already know. All right, so you go to their page, click follow. You can also click on the job section that they have. So it's pretty simple. Okay, am I back to my... Any questions so far before I move on to a whole different topic? Okay. Feel free also to put questions in the chat. And we will have time at the end as well. Okay, so basically leveraging the access to the online learning platforms. I'm gonna focus on just a few here, but we have many more, and they're all contained in a list that also you should have, but if you don't, please let me know, and it's also going to be in the presentation. It's a list of all the online trainings that you can sign up for, as a member of this program. So in general, right, I think learning can be really exciting, learning can be really interesting. Just start from that point. Like, remember when you were, if you have any good memories of learning as a kid, like, connect to that part of you that is interested in a topic, that is motivated to learn something new. Because I think that's really one of the most important factors in, right, doing online learning, is you have to come from that place of a strong motivation, or else it's too easy to start and then not finish, or everyone has super busy lives. It's hard to squeeze in the time to learn as well. So in addition to getting excited, also I would recommend to do your research. What I mean by that is to understand, like, where in my professional development or CV are there gaps? Are there any technical skills or soft skills that I feel could use a boost? Maybe you want to focus on your language skills primarily. Maybe you feel that your Excel skills are a little bit rusty, and the positions that you're applying to require mostly a high level of Excel. So based on the positions that you have been seeing that you would like to apply, right, you can base your research on that, and also base your research on your strengths and weaknesses. But to go into it again, this is like your online learning strategy, right? What is going to benefit you the most? What is going to make you a better candidate in the job search process? And I think one pitfall of online learning at times, I have heard this from many people, is people say, I invested, all this time in getting this online certificate in some topic, and I thought that that was going to get me a job. And now I have the certificate, and I spent all this time learning this topic, but I still don't have a job. So be also really realistic about what is possible through online learning and certifications. I would call myself a lifelong learner. I love to learn. I think it's really interesting, but your time is precious, and you have to understand that just a certificate will not, most likely, without practical experience, be the ticket into a industry. It's really hard. It's really hard to also reskill and get into a new industry just through an online certificate. So think of, that's part of your strategy also, is thinking, okay, I'm going to do this, but how, are there volunteer opportunities, or are there practical things I can do to practice the skill, so that when I do an application or have an interview, it's not just the online learning. When you complete courses, right, definitely consider adding them to your CV and LinkedIn if it's relevant, because companies like to see the proof of your skill, right? So let's say you say, I have a certain level of English. If you have a certificate from an English program that you did online or in person, right, that's like your proof that you are indeed that level. Same thing with any skill, right? If you completed a course in a certain skill, it's basically proof that yes, you have achieved a certain degree of skill in that. And then, like I said, I didn't say this yet, but integrating the knowledge that you've learned in these courses into your professional elevator pitch. So really keeping score of, okay, this is what I have done, and how can I weave this piece into my professional experience now? So, right, when you're having an interview, for instance, or you're networking and introducing yourself, to ask yourself, how could I present this? For instance, if you're talking about your elevator pitch, and you're saying, this is my background, this is I'm currently open or looking for positions in this and this industry, and I've actually just completed this and this course which really, gave me new insight. So weaving in the learning to your professional sort of pitch, I think is also a really valuable thing to do. And it's good to brag. It's good to basically show off the things that you have learned. It's impresses people and shows them that you are open to learning, that you are willing to put in the time to learn. Speaking of learning, we have our own platform, as many of you know, called Weiglo. And if you haven't already logged in and created, your account, I really highly recommend it. We have a lot of videos in English that go over different skills. And I will say that it is geared because, as you know, Upwardly Global was founded in the US for immigrants and refugees who came from different countries to the US. So it's focused on the US job market. But I would say that in a multinational setting, a lot of those things are the same. So you will notice, right, the titles might not be super fitting for your situation in Poland, but I still think that a wide array of the videos could be useful, even as just an insight, right, to how the U.S. workforce is. But as I said, U.S. and multinational have many overlaps as well. So this is what, once you're logged in, this is what it will look like, and you have different courses that you can choose from there. Coursera also you should all have access to. If not, let me know again. But as many of you know Coursera as one of the biggest online training providers. The benefit, right, is that it's free for all of you. And I really encourage you to look at what are the courses there. Many of them are from highly regarded institutions, universities. So the quality is quite high. Udemy Business is also an online learning platform. Again, you have access to it. There's many courses created by experts. There is a registration process as for everything, right? These are the links that you can access. And then it sometimes does take between a week to 2 weeks for our contact person in the US to give you access. So just be patient with that process. But it is a benefit to sign up to these. English First as well. So English First is our English learning platform. There is a form to fill. You will get an email that looks like this, and it's renewable after 6 months. So if you have already, had your first round of English First access, you only have to fill the form again, right? It's not a complicated process. You just fill the form again, and the access gets renewed for another 6 months. So as I mentioned, right, this is to practice your English and increase your English skills online. Last but not least, LinkedIn Premium. If you have it already, right, you know this, but the way that you get it from our program is, again, to ask your coach, remind your coach, or remind me. You will receive an email with a code, which you will then log into your LinkedIn account. So you do need to already have a LinkedIn profile. It doesn't have to be a perfect profile, right? As long as you have your basic information, use your CV to upload the information, have a professional picture, and improving your LinkedIn profile is also part of our program. I didn't mention that earlier, but in the kind of support that you ask your coach for, 100% is LinkedIn, your LinkedIn profile, making sure that it's strong, making sure it has all the information. I also have a series of video or webinars and resources that you can also watch if you would like to work on your LinkedIn profile. But at the minimum, definitely have at least one meeting with your coach about that. So yes, you have to have a LinkedIn profile to get the premium code. And then once you have it, it's good for 1 year. That's why I encourage people to not wait. I had some people in the past who didn't redeem their code because they thought, oh, if I really need it later, I'm going to wait later and then I'll have it longer time. But no, it's active now. And so the sooner that you redeem it, the more access you will have. And yeah, let us know. We always like to hear how all of these platforms are working for you, right? Even if it's just in a meeting with your coach, like let us know what is helpful about it, or maybe what is not helpful, right? Because that's information that helps us make the program better too. Is there something that you don't understand about it? Is there something that you want more information? Those things are really valuable to us. So please be as open and honest as you feel comfortable. This is just an example of the email you would get to receive the premium account. And we're done a little bit earlier today because I wanted to give a lot of time for any questions. And also, as I mentioned, suggestions from people who have been in the program longer. How have you made the best of this program? How have you navigated, for instance, the online learning or your relationship with your coach? I would love to hear about that as well.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, Anna, go ahead.
Yeah, you provide us a lot of useful links, right?
Yes.
Will you send us this presentation with all these links? Because I tried to make print screenshots, but it's better to have links for everything.
Absolutely. Yes. You will get the presentation, and in the presentation, once you click on it, you will have all the links that you can click on as well.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Anyone else? And for those of you who have been in the program, are there any online courses that you would really recommend to other job seekers? Ones that have been helpful for you? Katerina said, I've used Coursera Learning and improved my skills in advanced Excel and construction finance. Oh, that's awesome. Good to hear that, Katerina. And Katerina, would you mind sharing, was it easy for you to find those on Coursera, or how did you put in keywords? How did you find the courses that were useful for you?
Hi again. I looked for exactly what I want to, because I was start with looking for certain vacancies or job positions that are interesting for me. And as I came through all these like description of that position, I understood which exactly how you explained that way. I understood which gaps I have, and after that I just search in Coursera for that courses. And also it's very helped that these courses are in English, and at the same time you can read the same text that is already you are hearing. At the same time you can stop and read through that text in Ukrainian, and sometimes it's not in Ukrainian, just in Russian. So if your English, at the same time, you are improving both like parts of your skills, English and that certain topic that you choose. So that is really very helpful, because I started previous using Coursera during the first lockdown, and without that wide access that we receive here at Partly Global. And at that time, my English was a little bit the lower level, so I use the time. And actually, at Coursera, they have that course that study to study, how to study, how to do that. And actually, that was the first course that I used at Coursera. The first one. It was also helpful because when you're adult and have different responsibilities, and maybe you don't have enough time just to study as a student, and that's also very helpful.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great tip. To study, to understand your way of basically learning, especially online as an adult. I think it's super helpful. And as you said, the process is improving your language skills simultaneously. I also recommend as well the subtitles if you need a little bit more support and understanding. But you're right, you're learning a topic and you're also improving your language skills. So thank you for sharing. And then we have a question from let me just scroll down here. From Olha, are there some people here who already have trainers? Please tell us how it goes with them. Yes. Does anyone want coaches, right? So job coaches. Does anyone want to share how their experience has been with a coach for those of you who are new to that? And everyone has a different experience with their coach, of course, but if anyone is willing to share, that would be great.
Maybe I can share a bit.
Sure. Thanks, Natalia.
My experience was, it was really great for me to understand my mistake in my CV, because I am not new in my area, but it was like a new view what I need to do and how to improve it. So I really enjoyed her advices, and it was really helpful.
Great. That's good to hear. Yeah, I mean, and that's really in the beginning, that's going to be your first meeting is understanding any edits or adjustments to the CV. That would be helpful. So I'm glad, Natalia, that was useful.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Oh, such a question. Well, as I'm not lucky to find any full-time jobs in my Polish city relating to my profession, is there any opportunity to find any freelance positions in other countries? And if the program also helps with it? I have a private businessman opened in Poland. I pay taxes and I work with other companies from different countries, but it's not enough for me to feed my family. And I need or more offers or a full-time job, but I cannot even find any announcement on LinkedIn or any other sites. Thank you.
And you're specifically looking for offers in other countries outside of Poland, is that right?
There are two options. First can be freelance positions if I get more offers from different companies, and another option is to find the full-time job. But during the last 10 years, I was working only as a freelance.
Got it. I understand. Would your preference be for full-time, or you don't have a preference? It's just what is the total sort of income that you would have with the different opportunities?
I would like my full-time job also to be connected with my profession, something with translations, with localization, with subtitle translation.
Yeah. So to answer your first question, we don't provide necessarily like explicit support for applications in other countries, specifically just because our program is based in Poland. And so we're assuming that you are looking for work in Poland. I think if you brought an application or a question related to a position outside of Poland to your coach, they would still support you, right? So it's not that they wouldn't help you, but maybe in terms of our program goals and the information that we have that might be useful to you, it is based for positions within Poland. Anyone else have a question? Did that answer your question, Katerina?
Yeah, thank you.
I don't have a question. It's more like a short comment. I just want to thank you for your commitment. And when you apply for any course, especially it's a free course for a free program, you expect like a $99.99 upsell, you know, all the time, especially coming from United States. So you log in, you apply, and you actually don't see any hook, and you have lots of value for free, which is not common these days. So thank you for allowing us to participate, and thank you for committing.
Yes, sure. Thank you, Alexi, for that feedback. Good to hear. And that's our goal, right? Is to provide all of you with a high quality experience, even though it's free, right? So it doesn't mean that, right? You shouldn't have a professional experience in this program and also be considered, as all of you are, professionals yourselves. So that's yeah, it's encouraging to hear. And as I said, if there's feedback, please share it with us, positive, negative, any kind. We try to do our best here. Anyone else? Hi, yes.
If I may, I want to share feedback with working with my coach, Alina Grisai, and I want to tell that she's very helpful. She helped me to improve my CV and LinkedIn. I'm still working at LinkedIn. I receive all advices and instructions from her what to improve, but I'm in the process. It's just on my side at this time. And I want to thank once again to this program and to Alina for that helps, because the reason why I was looking for something and I found a Partly Global program was that I tried to find a job myself, and I really, it was difficult to understand what should I improve, how to do this, because now I have the same situation as Katerina, because I have a freelance job position, and I'm looking for like for full-time job position, and maybe with more higher level of responsibilities and growth of my knowledges at that position. So I really on my way to this, and I really see that I have that steps that move me to this goal.
Perfect. That's great. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what it's about, like identifying the steps and just keep going on those steps. And congratulations for doing it, because it is work. It takes time and it's work. But all of you, just even by being on this call today, are taking steps. And I hope that the program will basically be a support in those steps. And if something is unclear along the way, that we can explain it, that we can give information that will alleviate some of the confusion or stress around it. Because job searching is it's not necessarily always an easy thing to do. So totally understand it, and we're here for all of you. Please, stay in touch, keep in touch. Let me know if there's things I can support you on, or your coach. And yeah, that's it for me today. You're going to get the presentation over email. And a quick announcement: tomorrow is our Business English Conversation Club, which I also lead. I would love to see any of you who haven't been there. It's a really relaxed, atmosphere. I present for like 10, 15 minutes on a topic, and then you go into a breakout room in Zoom, a smaller room, just with a partner or a few other people to practice your speaking. So it's a great opportunity to enhance, excuse me, your speaking skills. And I hope that I will see some of you there tomorrow. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lorena. Have a nice
Thank you very
day.
much, Lana.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. See you.